Hello, North Alabama, and welcome to another edition of the Fox 54 Week in Review, your only place to get 7 days worth of all local news coverage condensed into a half hour. In this week's episode, a new era has begun at the University of Alabama. We'll bring you along to Kalen DeBoer's debut at the lectern as head football coach. We have an in-depth look at human trafficking and efforts by local organizations to stop it from becoming an epidemic in our neighborhoods. And teachers wear many hats. You'll meet one who wears one of many, including being a nurturer. It's this week's Fox 54 Top Teacher. We will begin with the weather story that dominated North Alabama all week long. Snow and ice blanketed our area on Monday and stuck around, causing traffic headaches and school and business closures all week long. Here are some highlights from Fox 54's coverage.
I'm here just outside of the Fox 54 news station where, as you can see, everything out here is pretty much quiet. I'm going to step to the side and give you guys a little bit of a look of what I'm seeing right now. Again, this is Memorial Parkway. As you can see, there are a few cars on the road, but again, everything seems to be pretty quiet. Most of the roads are still covered in snow, and there doesn't seem to be much traffic going on here in the area. Now, but earlier today, there was much to see and do as the snowy weather made its way into Huntsville. And here's a quick recap for you guys.
Huntsville had quite the snow day. A few drivers braved the snow-blanketed roads like here on Memorial Parkway. And over in Madison, 565 saw little to no traffic due to icy conditions on the roadway. In Mid-City, US 72 saw the same road conditions. And Mid-City's The Camp's graveled parking lot was completely covered in snow. Colbert County would see more of the snowfall with bridges covered in the snow, but some roadways seem to be pretty passable. And one more look just outside the Fox 54 studios shortly after sunset with the parkway completely covered and limited traffic.
So I am here with Andrea and we are at Buc-ee's, and as you can see, her car is pretty iced up from all of the weather that we are experiencing right here in the area today. And Andrea, so first of all, I just kind of want to know, tell me, I know you're a Chicago native, but tell me kind of how your process has been traveling so far.
I've been driving really slow because the ice, they don't put salt out here like they do in Chicago, so it's bad. It's bad.
Well, I woke up this morning because I was leaving back to go to Michigan. I'm like, everybody's panicking. I'm like, this is a mile Michigan right here. So I'm just driving past people. My truck is 4-wheel drive, so I have no problems.
We worked until about 2 o'clock this morning, mainly rain, freezing rain, just dealing with ice. And then once the snow started falling on it a little more during the day, it's been a little more passable.
Where have you seen like some troublesome areas that, where you've been called to most today or anything?
We've done a lot out here on Huntsville Browns Ferry Road, Greenbrier Parkway. We've done a lot out here. We started out about 6 o'clock this morning with a rollover right out here, right outside of the Buc-ee's parking lot.
I would like for you all to stay safe. And if you don't have to go out, don't go out, because I know you all are not used to traveling in this kind of weather.
Perfect. There you have it right here at Buc-ee's. Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Time to start turning our attention to what happens next after the snow. Well, you might want to start digging out. You might want to get your car out tomorrow. Of course, only go out if the roads are safe. So this might be until Wednesday. But I just want to show you guys how to properly clean off the car. I see a lot of people trying to do this. That's not going to work. Of course, always wear gloves also when you're cleaning. You're going to want one of these scrapers. If you don't have one, they're cheap. You can get them anywhere. Throw them in the back of your trunk. You'll need them the next time it snows. All right, so you're going to want to first maybe try and see nothing's coming off. Nothing at all. So you're going to use the scraper to really get underneath. And you can sort of see it's already starting to fall away. It also helps when you leave your car on just a little bit longer, maybe 10 minutes with the heat all the way on, the front and back defrosters on. And look, already you can see the drives have become much clearer. You do not want to drive with any snow on your front of your car or the top of your car. That's what can lead to possible incidents on the roadway, accidents. You also want to try and scrape off your headlights, your rear lights, and also your side view mirrors. Also, I do want to advocate as well for any elderly neighbors you might have, any friends you might have that might not be able to get out that could need help. Please, if you have a scraper, go and help them out. Go see if they could use any assistance. We're all in this together as we try to get past this winter weather.
No matter how long you've lived in Alabama, one word to describe the cold this week: unforgiving. But it doesn't stop there. We're expecting more. So conserving energy is important. Our Jasmine Bird spoke with TVA and Decatur Utilities and has some tips.
The cold temperatures that the Tennessee Valley is currently experiencing
is driving up the demand for electricity. As of 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning, the Tennessee Valley set a preliminary all-time record peak of approximately 34,500 megawatts at 4 degrees.
TVA spokesperson Clarissa McLean says the good news is, as of this morning at 11:25 Central, Tennessee Valley Authority has ended their request for voluntary electric curtailment, but there are still some ways to reduce energy consumption.
They can lower their thermostat a few degrees. For every degree that it's lowered, that can equal a 3% savings on their bill. Turning off the lights, unplugging unused devices, and just making sure to limit the use of major appliances.
Decatur Utilities Public Relations Communicator Joe Holmes also says typically the biggest consumer of electricity in the home is the heating system.
Especially if you're heating with a heat pump or other electric heat. During these cold temperatures, a heat pump can only effectively operate down to a certain point, and then it begins calling on what's called strip heat. And strip heat's a very expensive way to heat your home.
Another important tip to keep in mind is taking time to look in your attic.
Make sure you have at least 10 inches of blown insulation over all your heated and cooled areas. Anywhere in your house that's heated and cooled, you want to have 10 inches of insulation to keep that heat in. If you have gaps, maybe you've stored stuff in the attic over the years and it's gotten kind of pushed and that's thinner in some areas and others, that's somewhere we can lose a lot of heat very quickly.
For more information, visit FOX54.com. In Huntsville, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Well, one school will be closed a lot longer after the snow and ice melts. A pipe burst not once, but twice on the campus of Decatur Middle School. Our Ken McCoy explains how school leaders are working on the next steps of resuming classes.
I'm here outside of Decatur Middle School where at least $1 million worth of damages happened here overnight due to a pipe bursting here at the school.
So last night, shortly after 5 o'clock, we received an alarm call. It was a fire alarm call that went out at 5:16. He jumped on the camera system and saw that there was not a fire in the building, but he was able to visually see water.
Decatur Middle School is experiencing the bad side of the latest winter storm.
We arrived shortly before 6 o'clock and found that the HVA system, which is a chiller boiler combination, that we had a coil that ruptured in an overhead unit on the roof, which allowed water to continually to flow in. 5:20 this morning, another coil ruptured and caused the same thing.
Satterfield says at least 50% of the school is damaged, and the cost to fix will reflect just that.
I would say, counting upstairs and downstairs, that we have impacted 50% of the building. Just having done this for many years, I would say that we're at a minimum of $1 million worth of damage in this building. That is in damages and cleanup costs. So I think we're easily at that point right now, but we're 10%, 20% into this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon now.
And now they begin figuring out the next course of action, and that's resuming classes.
This building will remain closed for the building of the week, and then we will set up an instructional plan for these students once we know more and have a better time to assess the damage. But we fully anticipate that Decatur Middle School next week will start Monday or Tuesday. Well, last night around 5:17, we had a third coil bust here near the gym area.
Decatur Middle School experiencing a major water leak for the second time this week.
Actually, my safety supervisor was online downloading footage from the first 2 ruptures and saw that we had some cameras going active. So we were able to get a quick response out here and worked about 9:30 with our water restoration crews and our maintenance staff, and we were able to save the gym floor, get everything vacuumed up.
Decatur City Schools Deputy Superintendent Dwight Satterfield believes this is just another obstacle.
But hopefully it didn't set us really any further behind.
And the cost to repair the damages.
We still think it's going to roughly be around $1 million, and that $1 million that includes repair the units. That includes the repairing and replacing that we're having to do. We're at this point now that we've got electricians in here. They've replaced a good amount of the lighting that had standing water in it. They're pulling floor plugs. They're pulling strips.
And even during the sub-freezing temps, we can't forget our local businesses. Greater Ardmore Chamber Director Yolanda Eubanks with a reminder. Eubanks sharing that many local businesses are not able to work remotely and that the long stretch of being closed for weather can take a toll on the families who operate them. Here's a listen from Eubanks.
January is typically a slow month for many of our area businesses, but then you add in being closed in for at least 4 days, and the closures not only affect the business, but it affects their families. Almost 70% of the businesses in Ardmore are family owned and operated. Their business supports their family and pays their bills. You can support some of the businesses by shopping online, but I encourage you to shop and eat locally when we're all able to get out and about, because your support can make a difference.
HEMSI is responding to a large number of calls, and that number just keeps growing. They've seen sledding accidents, people falling on ice, and of course, accidents caused by icy roads. We spoke to HEMSI's Dawn Webster to find out why this is happening and why it's a concern.
More people are getting out. They have been cooped up for a long time. They're really getting yancy. They got to get out and get some more food, go get medications. They just want to go joyriding. They want to see the scenery. It takes us longer to respond to the calls due to the road conditions. The ambulances, can't go any faster than anybody else.
Now switching from weather to developments in the Steve Perkins case, the American Civil Liberties Union of Alabama sending a letter to Decatur Mayor Tab Bowling today saying that his protest permit policies violate free speech. You'll recall in late December, Bowling announced that a permit would be required for any future protests. It's something the city would enforce through an existing parade permit policy. The ACLU of Alabama says this violates free speech. The org says, in quote, the city of Decatur may not regulate speech and protest because of disagreement with the message or finding the activities inconvenient. Also adding, in quote, therefore, those who have protested and continue to protest the police murder of Mr. Perkins do not lose their constitutional protection because their topic is potentially controversial or the city of Decatur is concerned about the public's reactions, end quote. Last week, a federal court allowed Alabama to enforce its ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. We spoke to a local therapist on what this might mean for these kids and their families.
We are delaying an empirically validated medical treatment that can alleviate significant distress and improve the well-being and health, both psychological and physical, for our youth. Even when this law was just being talked about and hadn't actually been passed or brought to a vote, there was a significant and swift uptick in anxiety and distress that I saw for my youth clients as well as their families. And now that the law is actually taken effect, I have seen that starting to climb again.
Well, an organization in Madison County is helping women build their skills for the workforce. It's through a free program. Our Jasmine Bird sat down with the executive director with all of the details. Here's a listen.
The reason we're here is to provide women with an opportunity to be able to improve their job skills, to get a better job.
Christian Job Corps Madison County's Executive Director Nancy Eckhart believes that in today's society,
it's not unusual for women to be working 2 or even 3 jobs.
So Christian Job Corps is doing their part to make a difference.
Our aim is to help them develop a professional resume that enables them to be able to present themselves and their skills in the best light.
They also provide professional clothing, interview skills, personal finance training, and a personal mentor for each applicant, just to name a few.
So they get a mentor for 6 months, 3 months that they're in classes, and 3 months beyond that before they graduate.
The next program kicks off for women on February 13th.
So we are taking applications right now. The only requirement is that they be 18.
And the same goes for men, except their classes will begin on January 20th.
So the men will study some of the same things that the women do. Their focus will be a little more on transformation and Bible study and personal development, personal finance and those kinds of things, as well as mentorship. So we like to talk to them about what they want to do with their lives. What are their dreams professionally and personally, and how can we help them accomplish that?
For more information, visit FOX54.com. In Huntsville, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Now, Fox 54 Top Teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
All right, this teacher has put in 8 years of love, learning, and of course, teaching. But this year in particular is a new start at a new school in the River City. Meet this week's top teacher, Crystal Long from West Decatur Elementary School. Crystal Long's first grade class keeps her on her toes.
I like to be up and moving.
So much so, she gets her steps in.
It says 4,444, which I feel like that's not a lot.
She steps a lot and packs a lot.
My husband, he's picked it up before and he's been like, this is way too heavy.
She stays prepared, and Long's been prepared.
I knew when I was a kid that I wanted to be a teacher.
Even as a student.
I went to school and then came home and played school. So there really wasn't anything else.
But why is she teaching first grade?
It's the year where they learn to read, and I love phonics, and I love teaching phonics. And there's so much growth for them to go from non-readers to readers at the end of the year.
Her principal, Jennifer Edwards, nominated Long to be top teacher.
She goes far and above and very energetic with our students, and so they are growing by leaps and bounds. She's very passionate, and with saying all of that, she has an open mind.
And Long hopes to cultivate more than just a learning environment.
As teachers, we meet more than just their academic needs, being a safe place. If they never remember my name or remember my face, I want them to remember that they were loved. And that has the biggest impact on them. And so I just hope to leave that with them in their minds and in their hearts.
Wow, we love to see it. Well, you can catch more of her on fox54.com. And while you're at it, nominated teacher.
We are here just in preparation for the MLK Day Parade right here in the Rocket City. And I am joined by Mr. Cliff March. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, and I just want to kind of talk about this parade today, kind of the history behind it, as well as give me your title, kind of your whole role.
Yes, I'm Cliff March. I'm the Delta Theta Lambda Chapter Vice President of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated here, seated in Huntsville, Alabama, and it's our great honor to have us do this parade here today. This is our 5th parade. Now, it's actually the 7th year, but we've had to cancel 2 because of ice, and we've been blessed with a beautiful day before the storm. So we're here. We've got a lot of participants. We've got Alabama A&M March in maroon and white, fresh from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. They're going to lead our parade today.
with the band program and our bands across the country, community is first. The community is what supports us and allows us to do big events such as the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and other events that we have. And so we always are taught at Alabama A&M and of course at our historically black colleges and universities, we take care of home first.
So talk to me about what we have behind us here.
We have a 1927 fire truck. It's been in the Huntsville Fire family for almost 100 years and been with the city of Huntsville that long.
Wow, and so it's almost 100 years old.
Almost.
We've got a lot of community participants. We're just here to honor Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who was, by the way, a member of this great fraternity, Alpha Alpha fraternity.
Now, with 75 participants registered for this celebration parade today, many that I've spoken with have said it's all about one thing, and that's keeping the dream alive. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught them to keep their dreams alive and to never stop. Don't quit, to keep pressing forward.
He taught me unity. He taught me to look out for my brother and my sister. He taught me to reach back, pull one up.
I would say he taught me to always dream big and believe that things can change and they will change if you put in the work.
He's always taught me to keep going. You're gonna fall sometimes. You're not gonna always be perfect, but keep trying.
In Huntsville, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. That's exactly what it is.
Human trafficking has become a serious problem in the U.S.
Human trafficking is when people are being coerced into some sort of servitude that they are either doing unknowingly or have been tricked into.
During Human Trafficking Awareness Month, local organizations Asha Karen and the North Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force are helping the community better understand the many ways trafficking can happen.
The two biggest threats of human trafficking in this area are trafficking by a member of their own family, where an aunt or an uncle or even one of a child's parent can traffic them for drug money, for example.
And foreign-born victims have become common targets.
We find that those are people that can become victims of human trafficking quite easily, because a lot of times they are kind of enticed with the idea of coming to the United States or getting a certain type of work, only to get to wherever that destination is and realize that they've been labor trafficked, essentially.
The internet has a big role to play.
You can be anybody you want on the internet, right? So if there's a young person who has shared a little too much about themselves, and I'm a trafficker and I'm looking for somebody to groom and perhaps pick up to traffic them, I can pretend to be their peer.
But all victims aren't young.
Human trafficking runs the spectrum. It could be males, females, children, sometimes even elderly.
Gay sex trafficking victims, LGBTQ plus sex trafficking victims of any kind are possibilities.
Both groups are urging, if you see something, say something.
We absolutely try to make sure that people understand that any call that we receive is confidential. We don't share that information with absolutely anyone. Obviously, if we need to share it with law enforcement or those types of entities, we explain the reason why. And we also offer the language services.
We ask people anything that doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel like this person may be in control of their situation, we ask people to go ahead and contact law enforcement, because if you're wrong, it's just a momentary moment of embarrassment, but if you're right, you might have saved that person's life. Anybody can be a trafficker, that's a fact. There's no particular profile for them.
Traffickers come in many forms.
It is true that most sex trafficking victims are female, but there are also male sex trafficking victims, gay sex trafficking victims, LGBTQ plus sex trafficking victims of any kind are possibilities.
But statistics, as far as cases are concerned, are hard to come by.
Everybody always wants to know about the statistics. That's the big thing, is what's happening. You know, I understand this is a big problem, but what's happening right here on the Parkway? What's happening right here on University Drive? The two reasons statistics are hard to come by is, one, when human trafficking is succeeding in an area, it's invisible. You can't see it. If you want a murder rate for an area, you can count bodies. But with human trafficking, it's completely invisible.
Williams goes on to share how current laws play a role.
The other thing is, while we have strong laws against human trafficking, a lot of times law enforcement will get human traffickers in custody, And if it's easier to get them on a racketeering charge, for example, or a kidnapping charge, if that's got teeth and they can make that stick, they're going to want to stick them with whatever's going to get them in prison. And that may be something other than human trafficking. The best way that we know what's happening is talking to investigators, talking to care providers who deal with these victims every day. And we have those kinds of people on our task force.
And groups like the North Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force help to provide that aid.
We're to raise awareness, to help people know what to look for. The first thing that we will do is contact law enforcement. That's what I strongly encourage people to do if they think that that's going on, is you can call your city police, you can call county sheriff, you can call the Department of Homeland Security, and just tell them you believe you're witnessing human trafficking and tell them what's going on.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
The news is out, Mo, and a new head coach for the Bama Crimson Tide is in. Our sports director, Mo, fills us in. Mo, what's the latest?
Well, Kanisha, a report on Wednesday by 247 Sports cited that the Alabama administration needed only 72 hours to hire the next coach, but it only took 46. See, here's the deal. It was announced today that Kalen DeBoer will be the next man up to lead the Alabama football program. DeBoer heads to the capstone after coaching Washington for the past few seasons. In 2023, he led the Huskies to the Pac-12 championship, a Sugar Bowl victory, and a spot in the national title game. He went 25-3 in the Pacific Northwest and has a career record of 104-12. Roman Thomasoff of Locked On Huskies covered him on that West Coast and tells us what type of coach the Bama fans are getting.
The more I dug into it, the more I was just around the staff, the more that I just talked to a lot of people involved in the program. It's just a culture that rubs off. It's a player-led program, and Kalen does a really great job of not only like delegating things to the people who are going to get them done, but of instilling a culture of winning and a culture of knowing how to put players in the best position to succeed.
All right, now this seems to be a favorable hire for the Crimson Tide, and I just found out that he recently landed in Tuscaloosa, so guess we'll be talking to him very soon.
After the shock wore off that Nick Saban would no longer be the head coach of Alabama football, the question turned to who could possibly succeed him. Less than 50 hours later, Crimson Tide fans got the answer, and on January 13th, 2024, Kalen DeBoer was formally introduced as the 28th head coach in Alabama football history.
When I met with the team the other day after Coach announced his retirement, I asked them to give us 72 hours to help find our next head coach. We were able to hire Coach DeBoer in 49 hours.
Well, it's no secret DeBoer's predecessor, Nick Saban, left maybe the biggest shoes to fill ever. 6 national championships and 9 SEC titles at Alabama. He also produced 44 NFL first-round picks. For reference, Saban coached 15 more top-round draft choices than he suffered losses at Bama. And after being introduced, Coach DeBoer talked about the legendary coach who was in attendance with Miss Terry.
We just talked for the first time yesterday, and I've been in his ear a couple times already here. And man, I can just feel in his voice, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen it for many years. You know, this place is special. And I'm going to ask him that he shows up and make sure he gives me at least one thing every day. I'm sure he's going to have 10. I'm going to be good with that. But at least one thing that he sees that we can get better at.
As for DeBoer, his resume speaks for itself. An incredible 104-12 overall record across 3 head coaching stops. DeBoer won 3 NAIA national titles at his alma mater, Sioux Falls, won 9 games in his second season at Fresno State, and just this year took the Washington Huskies to the College Football Playoff National Championship.
When it comes to our goals, I shared with you it's to win the SEC and a national championship, but how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with class. We're going to do it with integrity. Yes, we're going to recruit the best, the highest character guys, but we're going to be able to have concepts and systems that are able to be adjusted to what we have and what our strengths are. As much as we have great players at every position, there are some positions that are stronger than others from year to year. And we will be explosive. I can promise you that.
Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama Crimson Tide get the regular season started right here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, August 31st versus Western Kentucky. In Tuscaloosa, I'm Nick Kuzma, Fox 54 Sports.
Kalen DeBoer made the rounds on his first official day as head football coach at Alabama, being formally introduced in front of boosters, university brass, including his predecessor, and the media. From there, he took to the podium for a press conference for the first time, where he answered, among other things, the question that will loom over this next era. How do you follow a legend?
I mean, it is impossible, and I say that humbly. There's a piece where you have to have a confidence in yourself, because there will be things that are second-guessed when there's so much continuity that's happened for so many years at such a high level. You know, it's awesome.
Athletics director Greg Byrne was posed the same thing, and his answer described a much wider approach he's taking with the program.
I've looked at it as you better find somebody that doesn't see that as a negative, but sees that instead as a challenge. And what an opportunity. Almost immediately, both Coach DeBoer and Nicole, I could sense a comfort level in who they are. Nicole's not going to be Miss Terry. She shouldn't be. She needs to be Nicole DeBoer. Coach DeBoer needs to be Coach DeBoer, not Coach Saban.
Kalen being Kalen comes with essential characteristics.
To just stay the course and keep the faith. And that's what I live my life by. Continue to focus on the moment, be in the present, do everything you can that day to be the best you can be. Lead yourself, bring others with you.
I see a person, a coach, a family that has embraced that journey, where when you say you get an opportunity to be the head football coach at the University of Alabama, and see that as what a unique and special opportunity that is.
Not even one full day on the job, DeBoer was asked, what are his next steps?
The next couple days, it's putting a staff around these guys, because they do want to know. Every hour that goes by is somewhat agonizing to them. And I will continue to meet with the players and build the relationships. There's a lot of recruiting that goes on, but first and foremost, the recruiting needs to happen within this team and getting them to buy in.
Greg Byrne called Kalen DeBoer a winner, and the latter underscored that it's his top priority. And we all know in this job, it's the only expectation.
That's it for this edition of the Week in Review. Remember, this program is one of many special digital-only programs you can find throughout the week on Fox 54 Plus. It's also available for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV devices. Also, be sure to download the Fox 54 mobile app for breaking news, weather, and sports headlines whenever and wherever you choose. For everyone at Fox 54 News, I'm Kenesha Dees. See you next time.